music lovers, thrill seekers, conversationalists all across the fruited plain, the bountiful fruity plain. Rush Limbaugh, the EIB Network, and the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. We are here, and it is Friday.
Live from the left coast at our satellite studios in Los Angeles, it's Open Line Friday.
That's right, my friends. Open Line Friday. Where is it? I'm looking for this thing. I've got a soundbite that goes where I know I've got it here. Well, maybe I didn't print it out. Maybe I didn't think it was important. I've got to go find it. No, it's this kid that shows up with a plea for a job. Obama, dad, White House, whatever. And it's a big mess. Not a big deal, but I didn't know I was going to get a soundbite on it, and I didn't print it out, and I found it, so I'll have to go back and print it out somewhere. Anyway, sorry to burden you with the sausage making here, folks. Greetings, great to have you. It is time for more broadcast excellence, 3 hours of it straight ahead. Telephone number, if you want to be on the program, is 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushball@eibnet.com. Let me just go through this one more time and see if I can find this. Because I thought that, yeah, I know I've got the soundbite. I'm looking for the story that goes along with that I saw, that I thought, it's no big deal. I thought I printed it out, and I didn't. And I'm going through here, and I guess I didn't print it out. So I have to go back to my computer in the next break and find it and print it before we can use the soundbite. Is the point. I want to pick up with something I left off with yesterday before we get into, there's an amazing two stories that are out there today. Pete Wehner, my old buddy from Empower America, he worked with Karl Rove in the White House, the Bush White House, and Pete worked with Bill Bennett, Jack Kemp at Empower America. Now he's Commentary magazine. And Pete has a piece on the overall failure that is Barack Obama. And it's an unusual piece for Pete. Pete's not been writing this kind of stuff lately. Pete has been more temperate than this, which makes it all the more, I think, thrustworthy, if you will. And I, of course, enjoy seeing, and there's a Time magazine piece that chronicles Obama's dismal failure as they're in the area of foreign policy. And what more and more people are coming to realize is the guy was totally unprepared to be president when he was elected. We were sold such a bill of goods, and it's people, the same thing that had me so fit to be tied yesterday. Everybody knew it, but nobody would say it. Everybody knew that we were being hoodwinked. Everybody knew we were being hogtied. Everybody knew that we were being sold a bill of goods. And we were electing somebody who had no business being president, no qualifications, the backdoor agenda and so forth. But because of the historical nature of his presidency, first black presidency, is so much hope invested, maybe we get rid of slavery and racism forever and be kumbaya, that it was worth it, and all that was malarkey. It was never going to happen. It was going to make it worse. Everything I predicted to be true. I was a lone wolf. January 16, 2009. I hope he fails. I caught hell. I caught grief. Everybody knew what I meant. And now the pieces are rolling in on how he is a failure. Now, to be honest, some of these people are saying he's a failure he's a failure at being president. I don't think he is. I think he's doing exactly what he wants to do. I think he's messing things up exactly as he intended to do. These guys are judging him from the standpoint or through the prism of presidential achievement and accomplishment, and he is a dismal failure in that regard. He is an overwhelming success if you judge Obama and his ability to inculcate his worldview on this country and fundamentally transform it. But regardless, we now have some people using the fail and failure words about Obama, and I doubt that they're going to catch the grief that I caught. And I don't care that I caught the grief. I mean, that's what I'm here to do. perfectly fine carrying that spear, catching that spear, carrying that baton. So we'll get to that in a minute. But as you recall, at the end of the program yesterday, we were in the midst of a discussion about the French socialist wacko economist by the name of Thomas Piketty, and who we have some sound bites from today as well. And Mr. Piketty's premise is that there's too much income inequality and that there's too much wealth, and the wealth is held in the hands of the same people forever, and that they don't share it, and they don't pay people enough, and all they do is just take and take and take, and this leads to the end of democracy. And it's a totally absurd premise. It's a premise that has been tried in a remedial way to fix what people think are the gross unfairnesses and inequities of capitalism for decades, and the idea that there's some notion of equality that we can all be made to fit into, plugged into. We can all end up being the same people. We can all end up having pretty much the same stuff. And there's only one way that can happen, and that is if we don't have anything, and our leaders have it all. And then they decide who among us gets what. It's frustrating, as it always is, because to me it is such common sense. But it does take an open devotion to liberty and to freedom and an understanding of the consequences of individuality, rugged individualism, and that freedom entails opportunity. It promises opportunity. It guarantees it, in fact. And it's what you do with that opportunity that determines your outcome in life. And if you fail to exploit the opportunity you're given, somehow we end up blaming the country. These people do. When the blame should fall squarely on the person that fails to seize the day. Then we have a compassionate country, end up feeling sorry for those who don't do well. We want to fix it for them and so forth. And we all feel guilty. The successful end up feeling guilty. They're made to feel guilty. Oh, it's not fair. We're doing so well. These people are doing so well. What if they're not trying very hard? What if they're not, what if, all kinds of variables. Everybody's different. For example, I mean, just to give you a little illustration, just a mindless little story that I found today in the middle of show prep. And it's really mindless. Marlo Thomas silences power lunch crowd at Michael's. Now, you might be saying, what in the name of Sam Hill does that have to do with income inequality? And well, I'll tell you what it has to do with it when I read the story to you. Marlo Thomas, the wife of Phil Donahue, still married. They still have a major domo. Still have a mansion up there somewhere. It's upstate New York or Connecticut somewhere. And Vladimir Posner still has his guest room there. And they sit down over, schnapps. Think about the good old days. Trotsky, so forth. There are not many women formidable enough to silence power lunch spot Michaels, but Marlo Thomas is one of those women. The petite star of the 60s sitcom That Girl, excuse me, coquettishly cajoled those in the packed restaurant to be silent as she stood up to greet a group who gathered to celebrate her new book, It Ain't Over. Marlo Thomas joked, raising her famously husky voice, "Can I get this whole restaurant to be quiet? You guys have got to keep it down. I don't mind if you're talking over Diane Sawyer or Arianna Huffington, but I just can't have it." Thanking Sawyer and Huffington for hosting the event on Wednesday, Marlo Thomas joked, "I've tried to use every girlfriend I have to sell this book, and I think it's working." Her book, which features stories of 60 women who started over, is subtitled Reinventing Your Life and Realizing Your Dreams Anytime at Any Age. Well, why? Why? Why are you trying to better yourselves, Marlowe? I mean, why don't you try to settle in and be the same as everybody else? Why don't you just settle for being the same as all the other dregs that are out there, the unfortunate dregs that are being left behind by this unfair capitalist system? Why are you exploiting this system? Why are you trying to write a new book? You're 60-some-odd years old, or whatever years old you are. You've lived your life. Why don't you just go away and be happy, celebrate what you have, and sit there and clip coupons? Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Income inequality, be happy with what we have? What do you mean, Marlowe, you want more? Don't you have enough? Haven't you done enough? Haven't you achieved enough? Why do you need to bring these other babes into it? Why do you need to bring in Ariana Huffing and Puffington into it and Diane Sawyer? Don't they have enough? Now, what about these other 60 women, stories of 60 women who started over? Why'd they start over? Why weren't they happy with what they had? Why were they being greedy? Why weren't they so absorbed with income inequality, realizing they had more than anybody else? Why did they want more? It's not fair, Marlowe. Marlo Thomas added, one thing I learned from reading everybody's story is think big, work small, don't be afraid to fail. Well, now, wait a minute. That sounds like capitalists. Don't be afraid to fail. Take a chance. Take a risk. Don't be afraid to do that. Claire Shipman has a book out with some other Catty K is her name. Claire Shipman, the stay-at-home wife, now when she wants to, of Jay Carney, the White House spokesman. She can stay at home when she wants to because they have a lot of money. You can't, but she can. You're not supposed to stay at home, though. You're supposed to go out and work and somebody else take care of your kids, but she can stay at home because she's part of the elite. See, she can write books about how she lives, but you're not supposed to be able to do that because you're from the hoi polloi. Anyway, she's got a book called Confidence Gap. Oh, yes, that's the latest problem plaguing American women, the confidence gap. They just don't have enough confidence. These rascally men, way too confident, much more confident than women. The women have got to ratchet up their confidence level up there, and they've got to start thinking big. And Claire Shipman said, we got to do a much better job at failing. And what she means is learning how to fail, because there is an education in failing. Now, to the American left, failure is natural and everybody does it and everybody should do it. And it's the natural order of things because nobody's capable of anything more than failure. The people that do not fail are few and the 1%, and it's unfair, and so we have to punish them. But here the elites, they want to learn from their failure and take it and make it something bigger, which is what everybody should want to do. But when you want to do it, somehow you're subverting America. When they do it, they somehow are enlarging themselves. The guests toasting Marlo Thomas, included Gayle King. And no mention of the Oprah. Have you seen that story? The interview with the Oprah and the stepmother and the You know, I don't have it at my beck and call here, but man, oh man, oh man. I mean, it's all about Stedman. And it's all about Gayle King, and it's all about Oprah, and it's all about how race is nothing but a strategy these people use, that there isn't any real racism out there. They just use it as a strategy to get sympathy and all this kind of, and it's been out about a week. I was able to partake of some of it while I was in recovery mode. Anyway, some of the other women at this thing were Gayle King, Sheila Nevins of HBO, Joanna Coles, Joy Behar, Gloria Steinem, Diane von Furstenberg, Meredith Vieira, and Judith Carr. Why? I mean, they're Democrats. The leader of their party is out there making this big push for income equality. Why are they trying to better themselves? Why does Marlo need a new start? Why does she need a new book? Why does she need to even think about realizing dreams again? I'm sure she's realized her dreams over and over. But she wants to reinvent her life, realize her dreams anytime at any age. See, my point, these are a bunch of hypocrites, folks. While their leader, Barack Obama, is out trying to convince you to give up, that the deck is stacked against you, that this country is so unfair and unjust that the 1%, the Koch brothers and whoever they are, have taken everything, and they're taking more and more, and there's nothing left for you. And the only way you have a chance is to keep voting for them so they'll give you what you need to get by. You should be happy with that. We should all not be happy until everybody's making this. So here you have these people that vote for this guy that are out there trying to get richer and more powerful every day. And they already are. So they are apparently free and clear and able to go ahead and follow the natural human order, which is self-improvement, make yourself better, improve your standard of living, improve your lot in life. They're free to tackle that as often as they want without criticism. And if they pull it off, they're going to be celebrated. These women will be given awards for these books and these stories and so forth. And they'll have another lunch at Michael's to celebrate what a great, meaningful book Marlo wrote. Or maybe that's what this was. But it burns me up. These people are a bunch of hypocrites. The people that make this country work are not the Marlo Thomases of the world or the Arianna Huffingtons or whoever. The people that make this country work are out in parts of the country that, like David Gregory, needs a psychological analysis to be able to relate to. And they're working hard every day, and they're trying to utilize the freedom they've got. They're trying to improve their lot in life, and when they make $150,000, somebody coming along in Democrat Party says, you're getting too rich, and we're going to raise your taxes, and we're going to put you on our health care plan that you can't keep your doctor anymore and so forth, and do everything they can to put obstacles in these people's way and start bludgeoning them with guilt over this notion of income equality because there's too much income inequality. And meanwhile, they don't sit by and sit in squalor. They don't sit by and just subsist with what they've got. They're all trying to find out where the money is, and they're reaching into the till, and they're trying to get as much of it as they can, however they can. But somehow when everybody else does it, it's greed. Or it's selfishness. Or some such thing. We're being ruled by a bunch of hypocrites at best. And at worst, it's worse than that. But I mean, here's just a tiny little example of, get this, Thomas. Take a break. I just saw the clock. Gee, folks, I'm sorry. This next segment is going to be real short.
America's most listened to talk radio host. Rush Limbaugh. On the EIB.
The human being should be allowed to have. Last night, my first actual, real, normal night in the past 8 or 9 days. Given surgery and the post-op recovery and the pre-op preparations and so forth. So I got about 4 hours sleep last night, stayed up and actually lived a little bit rather than did what the doctor said. So here we are, loving every moment of it. Now, I didn't go anywhere last night. This Snurdly asked me if TMZ caught me last night. The way that happens out here, my friends invite me out to dinner, and they call, they make a reservation, and the reservation, who are you bringing? And they mention my name. That's common. That's not unusual. And then whoever is at the reservation desk calls TMZ, says such and such is supposed to be here at such and such time. So here come these slavish TMZ camera crews. Well, my hosts all happen to know it. They don't want to be anywhere near TMZ, so when it's time to leave and say goodbye, they always point me to a secret exit. Well, the secret exit takes me right to where TMZ is. And my friends go out the exit where TMZ isn't. It's a sneaky trick. It's a sneaky trick that only friends would play on people. And I'm walking out and I say, okay, I'll see you guys later. And I'm looking up the sidewalk and there aren't any guys. So it appears that I exit the restaurant, myself. But no, didn't go out last night. Just finally, I had a night where I was conscious, essentially. And was, didn't get tired, so stayed up. And it just back to some sense of normalcy. And I took the bandages off. Bandages are off. I've just got one little layer of tape now here, and that stays on probably another 3 or 4 days. And then back to, full-fledged normalcy. I gotta take the bandages off. That was it was just tape and gauze, but after a week, it felt like I was wearing a metal helmet. And to get that stuff off was also a huge relief. So that was all part of the process of returning to normalcy. Now, look, I don't want to belabor, because I think I've made the point about the hypocrisy and these people in the midst of this income inequality. The reason, folks, that's important is because this administration, this regime, likes very much what's in this idiot Piketty's book. And this book is the kind of thing that they can point to and say, hey, this is a scholar, just like a global warming scholar or any other kind of scientist. And they say, we've got empirical evidence here that this is what we ought to do. And they're going to start raising taxes on people, and they're going to start destroying wealth. They're not only going to destroy wealth creation, they are going to take wealth away from people after they've created it. That's their objective. That is their end game. But while they're doing it, they exempt themselves, as evidenced by Marlo Thomas and her clucking hen group at Michael's and the self-help book at age 70 and New Vistas in Life and so forth. How in the world can you even be thinking about that if you really believe in income equality? Because if you're Marlo Thomas, married to Phil Donahue with a major domo, and Vladimir Posner has a guest room, you got to be looking at downsizing in the Obama world of income equality. Because I guarantee you, Obama isn't looking to raise anybody's income. That's the tragedy. Everybody's income is going to shrink, except his buddies. Somehow they're exempted. And I just wish more people would notice. Now, I mentioned this Piketty guy yesterday, the French Marxist economist. There's also some work that's been produced that is more important. It's more right on the money, and it's much more relevant and worthwhile than anything Piketty has done. It's by Professor Mark R. Rank of Washington University. He's the co-author of Chasing the American Dream, Understanding What Shapes Our Fortunes. And he has surveyed the United States in a much different way than Piketty did. What Piketty did was basically go back to the 18th century and move forward, and he treated the 1% as though they were the same people, the same families, and that they never changed. The people in the top 10% were always in the top 10%, the top 20% always in the top 20%. And this happens to be common. The socialist view of a capitalist society is that the 1% is common and static and unique. And then the 5%, common, static, and unique. And the 10%, ditto, and so forth. And that nobody ever leaves the group that they're in. So the poor are always poor. And the middle class are always middle class and getting poorer. And the money somehow just magically just siphons up to these rich people. And that's not the truth of the United States of America. It's the exact opposite. And that's what the work that Mr. Rank has produced has found. See, the Piketty book rests on some supporting principles. Social and economic mobility do not exist. In his view of the United States, if you're born a pauper, you die one. If you're born a sewage worker, you die one. If you're born a bricklayer, you die one. If you're born a Kennedy, you die one. If you're born a Rockefeller, you die one. And if you're born a Rockefeller, you don't let anybody else in the house. And if you're born a Kennedy, you don't let anybody. Of course, they're exempted because they give some of their money away. They're good Democrats. But their view of the country is really what is more the case in India, a caste system. And that's not what we have here. We have a burgeoning class system that people move into and out of various income groups many times in their lives. And it's all because people are different. And it's all because they have different ambitions and desires at different times in their lives. Some people don't discover until they're 40 what they love. Some people know at age 20 what they love, but they have a job they can't leave for a number of reasons, so they can't do what they love, and they have to stay at the job that they hate, and eventually maybe they get laid off or fired from that job, and by virtue of necessity, since there's nothing else, they have to go do what they love. And for the first time in their lives, they're happy. At age 40, they maybe not have anything at the moment, but they love what they're doing. They finally are doing what they're doing. They're happy and they're loving it. And they're spending all their time at it, and it may pay off and it may not. This goes on all the time in this country. There's the degree of entrepreneurship and creativity. You can't hold it back. You can't quantify it. You can't categorize it. You can't tamp it down despite the best efforts of people like Obama. They try. The leftists have tried for decade after decade after decade, but people are people. The thing that worries me is when we've got these burgeoning young people, the millennials now, they're the new young generation, when they lose faith in the America that makes all that I just described possible, that's bad. They need to be losing faith in Obama, not America. But because their education is not sufficient politically, they don't understand that Obama is why America is where it is right now. Not America is flawed, deeply flawed. America, this was bound to happen because America is a mistake. That's what they've been taught. And Obama's reinforcing that. And no, America is fine and dandy. It's the greatest place ever devised by mankind. And Obama's the single-handed agent just trying to screw it up. And it's worth our while to try to get to these people and grab them by the shoulders and tell them, no, do not lose faith in your country. It's the biggest mistake in the world you can make, because while you lose faith in your country, a bunch of people who haven't heard the message are going to be out there running rings around you. They're going to be inventing things, creating things. They're going to be working. They're going to be happy. They're going to be doing things you don't think are possible anymore because you're investing in a guy and they're investing in themselves. And that's the difference. If you want to invest in a guy, invest in you. Don't invest in a Barack Obama. Don't invest in a me. Don't invest in yourself. That's what America allows you to do. America allows you to love yourself. America allows you to think you're the greatest thing on earth. America allows you to have confidence and bravado. America allows you the opportunity to put what you think is best on trial and see if it flies. It's always been what America's about. And while some young people may get talked out of trying, a lot of people are not going to get that message because they don't watch the news. They don't watch TMZ. They don't watch or read Yahoo. They're just going to get up and go do what they want to do. They're not playing video games all day, or if they are, they're writing the games and they're trying to make money off of it. Absolutely no reason to crying shame. People are losing faith in the United States of America. We've got a man who is a failure as a president. And it's perfectly fine to lose faith in him, but not this country. This country is at a crossroads now that has not been in my lifetime, but we're going to survive it. But it means we're going to have to survive 3 years of this guy and the kind of people he's put in power in his administration. And these people believe that social and economic mobility don't exist anymore. You're stuck. However you're born, that's your lot in life. That there is no more economic expansion. The days of economic growth, they're over. The rich got all the money. And there isn't any more for you to get. The Koch brothers have it all. And the Forbeses have it all. Whoever the rich people, they've got it all. And you don't have it. And you don't have a chance of getting it. And so all you can do is hope the Democrats take care of you. You're being governed by people who believe that you should be allowed to have money and property in the type and the amount that the state is willing to allow, because the state knows best what you need, and the state is better able to corral what you need and measure with what you want to keep you happy. And that's what this book that these guys are going nuts about celebrates as well. You're being led by people from the president on down who think that being paid according to the value you bring to an organization is unfair. Stop and think of that. Barack Obama, Jack Lew, Jay Carney, take your pick, Joe Biden, they all believe that being paid according to the value you bring to an organization is not fair. You know why? Because not everybody can bring the same value as you do. You have an unfair advantage, and you shouldn't make more money than somebody because of that. They're just as good a person as you. They may not be as talented, they may not be as creative, but they shouldn't be punished for that. And they also believe, and check the landscape of the country to see if this is happening, they also believe that people will work just as hard for very little money as they will for a lot of money. They really believe that if you give them health care with their small salary, they'll work just as hard. I'm telling you, these people do not know you. They do not know this country. They think they do, and they're ruining it. They're destroying it. I have to take another break. I want you to hear what really happens every day in this country. And it has for years, when we get back.
Celebrating the American way every day of the year.
And we're back. Rush Limbaugh, Cutting Edge Societal Evolution. I want to take a call. It's Open Line Friday. I'm going to simply delay what I was going to tell you what's happening in America today and has been happening in America for decades and continues to happen despite what the left thinks, because it is profound, and it is exciting, and it's good, it's inspirational, motivational. But I want to get a phone call here. I'm somewhat intrigued by this. It's Pat in Tucson. I'm glad you called. Welcome to the program. Hello.
Mr. Limbaugh, I cannot tell you how excited I am to speak with you.
Thank you.
We totally love you. We listen to you constantly, and congratulations on your successful surgery.
Thank you.
The reason I'm calling is regarding your comments about Margot Thomas's new book, which I have not seen, but I wanted you to consider another perspective. I'm thinking that the left might use your comments as conservatives do not want women to succeed, which isn't true. And I am personally an example of one who did. I got married very young, had several children. It was an unsuccessful marriage. It broke up, and I went to college and got a chemistry degree, moved across the country, had a hugely successful career, raised 2 children on my own who now have big, successful careers of their own. They're wonderful people.
That is great. I'm couldn't be happier for it. I want everybody to succeed. But I want to go back to what you said. How did what I say?
I'm just thinking that when
you're worried that liberal pundits are going to say that I want women to fail?
Book is going to be encouraging to some women, and I think we should give it a chance before we tear it down. And I also think that maybe this is what the left wants.
Okay, Pat, I'm sorry, you and I were talking at the same time, and you didn't hear me, so you were not answering the question. So I'm out of time. Can you hang on? I want to try this again. Don't hang up.